You're standing above her. Her body has fallen limply into the snow. The shattered wooden porch of the large 3-story gray caretaker's house looms behind you, DT. Sugar, your sister, sways gently next to you. Her dead eyes roll back and forth across the scene in front of you. All of the other wildlings, those that had entered into Babylon alongside Achira, have fled back into the forest from which they came, running after the sound of a gunshot. Your father's children, the dead, hundreds of them, fill this place. This campground once belonged to the living, but now it's become something more. A place for the dead. You've traveled back here, all the way from Pine Haven, leading Achira back to him, only to find that Polly was here. As she had rushed forward in the middle of that argument with the others, you had stuck your foot out, and she tripped over your booted foot and fell. And now, you're staring down at her. She's been lying there now for over a minute, blood seeping into the snow around her head, spreading out in a puddle. The heat of her breath slowing as her chest rises up and down, and you watch as she grows blue across the face from the cold. What do you do?
DT's staring at her. She feels partially bad that she hit her head, even though she thinks she slightly deserves it. She takes a second, she sighs, and puts out her hand. Fine, come on, get up, Polly.
You shout at Polly, but Polly can't hear you. She was deafened some time ago, as you've learned. And you shout and you reach your hand out and you shake her. She doesn't move, and your sister Sugar, standing behind you, lumbers closer. And looks down at Polly with hungry eyes.
I look at Sugar and say, no, not this time. Not yet. She's too valuable to people here.
What would you like to do?
DT is gonna push Sugar back in hopes that she goes far enough and tell her, we're gonna find food somewhere else. And then DT's gonna go over to Polly and start shaking her and trying to get her up.
All right, you shake her. I'm going to have you make a first aid check, and I'm gonna have you roll your percentile dice, and you have a 45 on that. So if you would like to give it a shot, we'll see if you can best a 45.
This one. It's 23.
Yes. 23 is actually 2 degrees of success. Would you like to add any additional competency to that roll so that you can improve your ability to awaken Polly and perhaps tend to this wound?
How much competency do we have right now?
Well, currently you have 3 of your own competency that you can spend. However, I believe that the group as a whole has a few competency that you could draw into if you would like. There are 3 competency in the communal pool currently.
I'll use 1.
Okay.
Of my own.
1 of your own?
Yeah.
Okay, so that makes it 3 degrees of success. And I think you probably find a rag on your person, and you rip it off, or perhaps off of your sister. You pull a piece of fabric from her clothing, and you press it up against Polly's head, and you start to pull her up off of the slick of snow and ice that she was lying on, and her body kind of limply and heavily is tugged forward, and you're having trouble. But as you're pulling her up the steps, your sister reaches down and grabs on to one of Polly's arms and pulls her up the stairs with surprising strength. And you follow after, and Sugar looks to you, sort of holding on to Polly by one arm, hanging over these old gray rotten boards of the caretaker's house.
I'm just gonna look at Sugar, just with saddened eyes, and be like, I really miss you, Sugar.
And she looks at you with gray, empty, white-clouded dead eyes and smiles and sets Polly down on the ground. The old boards creak, and there's the sound of something moving in the house behind you. You know that Providence lives here. What do you do?
What do I know about the Providence?
Providence is a little dead girl that lives in the attic of this house. She's one of Father's special children. She's different than the others. She's changed, grown. She's not like Sugar, although Sugar is special. She's very secretive. She never shows herself. You've only ever seen just the quickest glimpse of her as she runs upstairs or around corners. She has long limbs and wears tattered old dresses and has scraggly hair and a bent spine that causes her to lumber, and she oftentimes runs on all fours like some sort of strange animal.
DT and Sugar are going to grab Polly and make sure that she's safe, just because DT isn't totally sure that she can control the Providence like she can Sugar. So she wants to leave Polly outside while she looks for supplies for Polly.
So you know that there are a few places in Babylon that have storehouses. Do you wish to go to one of the barns that are just a ways away from the caretaker's house? Or would you stay here?
Yeah, we'll go to one of the barns.
Okay. You and Sugar both, leaving Polly here unconscious on the porch.
Yeah.
Okay. So she's no longer in the snow, so she's not freezing. You've stopped the bleeding with your very good first aid roll, and you're going to be able to move across the campgrounds pretty quickly as you and your sister push through the horde of the dead that are just sort of staring in one direction. They're not moving, and they're all staring off towards the east. You hear nothing in the distance. It's dark, and you make your way to a large, shattered barn. One half of it is kind of collapsed inward. But you see wagons and a pen and a corral, and there are huts, little hutches that are built into the side of the barn that have living rabbits and other small animals that are held in these pens for both food and also sacrifice. Inside, you know that there are some scavenged items.
Okay. DT wants to go inside and see if she can find any first aid supplies that she can bring back. She already has water and a blanket. She just needs supplies that will make sure she doesn't bleed out.
Let's have you roll a search and see how you do. As you step into the darkened barn, that's 4 degrees of failure. Now you can spend competency to mitigate that failure if you would like. You've spent 1 competency, so you have 2 remaining, but in the communal pool, there are 3. I would encourage you not to be shy.
Yeah. Just 4 is so bad. I'll use my own 2 first.
Okay, so you're going to use your 2 remaining competency, leaving the group pool untouched for now.
Yeah.
So in doing so, you have mitigated the failure from a critical failure to just an average failure. You're searching through the boxes that are here, and there are a lot of them. There are markings on the side of these boxes, and you see that some of them have a skull with a beret and a dagger run through it, marked on the side. And there are military handmade rations in some. They're freshly made, dried jerkies and other meats that have been gathered together in small survival kits. There are other items here like ammunition and guns, and you're not finding much medical equipment. But as you start making your way further into the back of this barn, you see a number of boxes. They're standing alone, and there's a shaft of pale moonlight that falls down upon them. There's hay that has been strewn across it. And you see a figure here next to the box. And they turn towards you, and you see these glowing white points where their eyes should be. And the dark figure ducks behind the box quickly.
I think DT and Sugar are gonna slowly back out of the room while watching where it went. They're not gonna go towards the box.
You start to move back. Make a spot listen check. That is actually 5 degrees of failure, which is a catastrophic failure. With a 92 on your roll, I'm afraid you're going to need to do something about that. You have no personal competency left, and there are currently 3 competency remaining in the collective pool.
I still have my weapons on me too, though, right?
You do. You're holding on to your specially made scythe. It's a long-handled, bladed weapon that was shaped and shorn down into a razor-sharp blade from an old pickaxe that you found in a mining area here in the Pin region.
Okay. I feel so bad taking the competency towards the group.
It's fine. It's how it goes.
All right.
It's gonna be.
How much would using 2 get me down? That's still a pretty big failure, right?
If you use 2, it'll bring you down to 3 degrees of failure, which is no longer catastrophic, but a failure nonetheless.
Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I'll use the 2 just so I can get out of
right.
catastrophic.
Hey, you're the guest. Come on.
Oh yeah.
I would have done that.
What's the worst that could happen to the rest of us?
What,
Let's be honest.
What, are we gonna die?
It's not like you're already dying.
So you use 2 of the group competency points, which lends you a little bit of respite from the failure that you've rolled. You don't hear what's behind you. But you are stepping backwards carefully, and Sugar just sort of turns and starts to lumber in the direction, and the two of you are sort of face to face as you're walking back. Sugar doesn't understand what any of this means, really, and is just looking to you and realizes that you want to leave. And as you're slipping out back past the other boxes towards the crates that you had just looked through, you bump into something, but it's not a box. It's right behind you. You hear breathing above you.
I think DT is finally just going to ask, who are you? What do you want?
You feel a large hand on your shoulder, and then another. The massive fingers are far too large, covered in boils and strange cysts, and they are pussy and blackened, as if the circulation has long ago died out in them. Covered in frostbite and wounds, these massive hands just sit upon your shoulders as if they're trying to press you down into the ground so that you couldn't possibly move. What would you like to do?
Do I have access to my weapon at this point?
It's in your hands.
I guess I'd like to try to attack.
How would you like to do that?
It's pretty large. I'm going to try to duck down as hard as I can and swing around and hit it off of me.
All right. So you're going to try and slip down and swing wildly at this thing behind you. So go ahead and make a slashing attack for me. You're just going to roll that. But I also need you to roll 2 blue dice so that I know exactly what your initiative is. We're going to use the speed dice to determine that.
Oh, roll this one?
That's an exploding die. So that's a 5 plus whatever else you
That's
roll.
a total of 13 for your speed.
13. And what is this? If it's
That is the best roll that you could have possibly done.
is that a 1?
That's a 1.
Okay, thank God. I thought it was 100.
You have 5 degrees of critical success on this. Now, you're a little slower than your opponent.
Oh, okay.
And your opponent tries to keep you in place, but you slip out of the grip of this massive figure. And as you spin and swing your weapon, the handle falls perfectly into place, and the blade reaches right into the side of their head. And you're standing before a massive man wearing ragged overalls, no shirt whatsoever, but boily, rotten flesh that's overly muscled, no neck whatsoever. His head melts into where that neck should be, and it's like a mound of twisted flesh. And one eye is far too large, like a frog's, and it has a slit down the middle, and it's drooling out of a gaping mouth with broken teeth as it stares dumbly at you. He falls to his knees before you. And then collapses dead at your feet.
DD's just massively in shock, but just like chuckles and looks at Sugar and was like, is this one of your friends?
We'll be right back. Achira, you awaken. Your head is screaming. The pain works its way down your neck, into the tips of your fingers and your toes. You're strangely warm. You have none of your equipment on you. You are still clothed as you were. You are bleeding from the temple, and there's a sharp pain in your neck, and you reach up and you feel it, but it's just a small bump. Everything starts coming crashing back to you as your memories return to you. The engagement in the forest, the snow, what happened, Bebe, the shot outside of Babylon, you running to her aid to find her unconscious body drugged, a trap, and then Lampwick. What he turned into, what happened to his body, his form, as it ripped away, and you saw the truth that hides behind his eyes. You saw what he really is, his true self now, after the infection has taken hold and changed everything about him. You thought that you knew him. You thought that you two had come to at least a temporary accord. You had so much anger, and you confronted him, not certain what you would find. But what you discovered was far more horrible than anything that you could have imagined. His legs were shot out from underneath him by machine gun fire, but it didn't seem to harm him. He dropped to the ground and, in a frenzy, lost control as he became something less than human, moving like a wild animal, leaping through the branches, clawing through the trees with a writhing mass of tentacles where his face should be. What was the last thought that you had before you passed out?
Her last thought was, I should have while I had the chance. And with that, she meant taking care of Lampwick.
Has she given up on it?
No. That's the sad thing. There's still a piece of her down because to her, Lampwick is, well, it's complicated, but it's as close to family as she has had since before the apocalypse happened.
You've lost everyone else.
One way or the other. Now it seems that she's lost Polly, who was bringing her back from the edge. And now Lampwick. Everything that Lampwick is. The fact that, and she hasn't really addressed it just yet, but the betrayal of DT, Faith is gone. She's more adrift than she's been in a very, very long time. And it just seems like one of the things that keeps on being a repeating theme in her life. Give them enough time. People will always disappoint you.
You've left Cammie with control of Pine Haven. The entire community is now left in the hands of all of the people that you left behind. Faith made her choice. As much as you disagree with it, the die has been cast. And there's no turning back now. You left into the wild with your children. You led your small unit of wildlings out. And now you're somewhere else. That warmth that you feel is coming from a vent that hangs above you on a tiled ceiling. The room is immaculate, white, blinding as the lights turn on. Overhead, a blazing sun hangs above you. I'd like for you to make a spot listen check.
I don't have any of my gear, so I can't do recon gear with it, right?
You have no gear whatsoever, only your wits and your will to survive. The clothes on your back and nothing else.
Yeah. 3 degrees of failure.
Very well.
Oh,
All you're gonna say.
y'all already know. Is it the tone of voice? Is that what does it?
It's almost that whenever there is a pause, we just know what's coming next.
Go ahead and ask.
So, okay. This is a room, an environment that Achira has never been a part of. Obviously, the last moments she realizes that she was tranked and abducted. This is not a home base in any way, shape, or form. Nox,
You've left
is
the
this a location hazard?
You've left the location hazard behind. You are safe for the moment. I'm sorry to say that no, this is not a location hazard.
Okay.
Should have rolled the persuade.
There are, however, two shared competency points in the pool should you choose to draw upon them.
No, 3 degrees of failure. Blargle. I'm gonna use 2 of my own, which will only make it 1 degree of failure. And that is the extent of what I'm gonna do at this time as far as spot listen is concerned.
Very well. You're staring up at these bright lights. You see something in each corner. Dark boxes. The only thing that isn't white here. There's a red light on each of them. There are 4 of them, one in each corner, and they're moving.
CCTV?
You think it might be.
Why would they need 4? Is there anything else in the room?
You're awake. This is good.
My head hurts, which is bad.
An unfortunate side effect of the drugs. We had to tranquilize you. You were ruining our petri dish.
Your petri dish. Are you speaking of the Christian camp? The camp of the dead?
You and I both know that the dead are changing, don't we?
Yes, I think that's apparent to anyone who has any dealings with the Romeros.
There are so few alive. This world, it's falling apart. So, Achira, you have 2 simple choices before you. Do absolutely everything that I say, or go back to the world that we took you from. If you choose to leave, you will never be allowed to return. You will live and die in the wild world without knowing the truth, without learning about why you were saved while the others have been left behind. You won't understand why you and Blaine were so special.
How do you know about my brother? No one knows, should know about him.
This is far, far bigger than you know. Make your choice.
Where is Bebe? The wildling that you baited me with.
Again, apologies for the crudeness, but we had to extract you.
That wasn't an answer.
The wildling is most likely where we left them. As to their safety, we cannot guarantee anything given that you have kicked the hornet's nest.
They're Romeros. It's not like you...
They are not Romeros. That crude moniker has nothing to do with what they are.
Zombies, then.
Again, you missed the point. Animated dead? You think that is all they are?
I mean, obviously. The black bile that comes out of their bodies, the fact that if you're bitten and die, you become one of them. You're literally rotting as you're moving around in the world. Of course, there isn't anything else that they can be. The fact that that Lampwick has had them change it's a freak event. It's one of a kind. It's not...
It's evolution.
That's impossible. The dead can't evolve.
You're making too many assumptions, and you have a choice to make. Stay or go.
What do you want from me if I stay to find out answers?
As I said before, you will have to do everything that I say. We are seeking to understand how we might be able to stop the rising tide. You might be a part of that.
I'm no one's science experiment. What do I even call you?
My name is Dr. Anya Sharon Banerjee.
I'll repeat, I'm not your science experiment. I reserve the right to say no. I want answers, and you obviously want a lot from me. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this dance right now.
If you refuse the treatment, if you refuse to undergo decontamination, we cannot allow you to enter into Steel City.
What is Steel City? I haven't heard of this, and I've been a lot of places.
Of course you haven't. Make your choice.
If you do things that I don't agree with, you will regret it.
We've all done things that we regret in this world. It's impossible to survive otherwise.
I'm not saying this like it's a fortune cookie saying. I'm saying it like it's a promise. I will stay to find answers.
And answers you shall have.
All of the lights shut off for a moment and then come back on, but they're at a much lower level. The cameras are all pointed towards you. The CCTV monitors are directed at you, and you can see now that they move with you. There is a door on the far side of the room next to the cot that you're lying on. There's nothing else in this room. On the door, there is a small hatch. The hatch opens, and a green container made of plastic, sterile looking, drops into the room in front of you.
Achira moves forward to open it.
You kneel down and you open this parcel. You see a number of things inside of it. There's a white jumpsuit. There are small packets of white powder. There's another packet of a pink powder. There are sponges that look like they're very rough and abrasive. And there's a pair of electric shears.
You know we left shaving legs back in the 90s, right?
To prevent any contamination, we require you to undergo the protocol. We will provide you hot water, and you will scrub, and you will shave entirely.
You mean my head too, don't you?
Everything, I'm afraid.
Fine. It grows back.
There's a buzzing sound and the door in front of you opens. And you're in another small room. There are plastic sheets everywhere around you. And it looks like a locker room shower, but the water is already running on a number of these spigots that are inset into the tile walls. Everything here is both white and a sort of a soft lime green, but it all looks new. And there's steam rising through the room. There are these folded, strange, almost paper-like towels that have been left out on a series of benches. This is all very medical to you. It feels like you're in a hospital of some sort. And there doesn't seem to be any cameras here, but you just can't get over the sense that when the door closes and you hear the latch, that it's not going to open again until you step back into that antechamber. What do you do?
Achira takes them in and approaches the running water. As she disrobes and starts to scrub, she looks over the numerous scars that are on her body. Remembers where each came from, the ones that she can remember. There are many at this point. She looks away from the shears until the last possible second. When she's scrubbed and powdered and rinsed, she looks over at them.
There's a steel mirror on the wall. The reflection, you can see yourself, how tired you look. There's more age in your face than you remember, wrinkles that have started to press themselves forward. You're not used to seeing yourself clean.
She takes the electric shaver and she starts with the areas that she remembered way back when were considered the norm to shave. Putting it off, even shaving her eyebrows first, until she's standing there and she's looking at her hair and how all of her wildlings had colored different sections of it. How much of a piece of her identity, of her being who she is, her being her most human her, is with her hair. And then she picks up the other shaver and she turns away from the mirror to start on that. And she sees the hair fall in clumps around her feet, the colored strands, the curls. It's thick around her ankles. She has to turn back to the mirror to finish because she missed a lot of spots. And she tries to avoid her own eyes while she shaves. She saves some curly strands of purple and pink that Polly had actually dyed in her hair. And she looks at that and sets all of it to the side.
You can't help feeling like a stranger in your own body for a few moments as this happens, Achira. You're holding on to those strands of colorful hair that Polly gave you, helped define you and who you were out there. You're wearing this white jumpsuit now. Your head is cleanly shaved and you've been cleansed with these harsh powders. Your skin aches and is raw from the scrubbing. You're standing in this strange facility, and the door behind you clicks and opens.
Achira's very certain that once she gets these answers, like most of the doctors in Achira's life, Dr. Anya's going to die as well. She doesn't say this out loud. It's a promise to herself. And she walks forward.
You step through the door into Steel City. Lampwick, you were in a very different place. Tell me about the memory that you're inside.
I remember a long time ago there was a woman who was beautiful, stunning, charming, and cunning. And I remember her seeing something in me and taking me from where I was and teaching me a couple things. And we worked together back before, the times before.
When you were very young,
Yeah.
before the world fell apart.
She was better at what I thought I was good at than I was ever able to become. And she fed me everything she knew I needed to hear. And I believed it. And I trusted her. And I thought I fell in love with her.
So the two of you are together in this memory. You're standing at a greasy diner. Isabel. That was her name, wasn't it?
It was.
Isabel slides into the seat next to you. You both plop down. You're ratty, dirty. You've been working the street game now for a while. Isabel's good, but neither of you tend to be very responsible with any of the takes that you make. She's been trying to get work in a number of the nursing homes that are local. A lot of rich old men find themselves alone in those places. Those are ripe for scamming.
They sure are.
She looks to you and she's talking. She's saying things, but you don't remember the words. You just remember the feelings and the moment. All you hear, somewhere in the far distance, is the cry of a baby. And she's animated and smiling, lighting cigarette after cigarette, and smoking and talking to you as if you're responding, even though you're not, you're just staring. You're sitting in this booth, and the waitress, she walks up towards you. She's wearing this blue dress. The name tag is skewed, and it says Achira on the name tag, and the figure pours coffee onto the floor at your feet. Achira's dead eyes meet yours as she stands rotting before you.
No. I'm gonna look at the woman, Isabel, in front of me. Is there anything, is she taking any notice of any of this?
Everything seems normal to her. She's just talking to you and smiling and smoking her cigarette, sipping her coffee.
I'm gonna yank the cigarette out of her hand and throw it.
She looks at you, surprised.
What's going on? This isn't real. What the fuck is going on? Are you lying to me? This isn't real. What's going on? Tell me.
This is what you wanted. This is what you asked for.
You left me. And I'm gonna reach out and grab her face and smash it.
Her head explodes in your clawed, dark, twisted, fleshy grasp. And your arms are 2 times the length that they were just a moment before, as you are not seated at this diner, you are perched on top of it as tentacles splay outward, and Achira's dead body lies broken beneath you. Isabel's head explodes in your grasp, and her body hits the ground next to Achira's, and the two are right next to each other.
I'm gonna try to pick up Achira and I'm gonna run.
You grab Achira, and the skin sloughs off of her arms, leaving rotten flesh and piles of maggots that start pouring forth from her mouth.
I'm gonna try to gather as much of it as I can, and I'm gonna...
Her bones deteriorate in front of you as the only thing left behind is the blue waitress's dress with the name tag, as everything rots right in front of you as if it accelerated in some unimaginable fast forward of death.
You took her!
You took her.
I'm gonna rampage the entire fucking place.
The people in this diner see you and seem to break away from the pleasant memory that you had shielded them in. And now it's like a different memory, one that you don't allow yourself to see. They're all soldiers dressed in black armor with the skull and the beret and the dagger. And they're firing weapons at you, terrified, screaming as they back away from you. And you murder them all, ripping them limb from limb, eating much of them, and smearing the rest of them across the walls. What do you do now that you're surrounded in this warehouse by the gore of a dozen Citadel soldiers?
I go up to each of their bodies and I bite on my finger until it bleeds, and I let a couple of the drops of my own blood trickle down into their mouth.
The soldier in front of you, one entire arm ripped away, opens his eyes, pulls himself up, and as his intestines drag behind him, he follows you.
And I'll do it to every single one.
They all broken like toys that you've ruined, follow after you, pulling themselves in some cases across the ground, dragging themselves, these shattered remnants of human carnage that you've draped across this place. They're all following you.
I'm looking around. Other than them, what else do I see here?
Are you really looking? Are you really looking, Lampwick?
I think here Lampwick is gonna see what he wants to see.
Then you are not really looking. You keep moving through the memory, and as these broken soldiers follow after you, you hear a voice somewhere off in the distance, in the darkness of this warehouse. They're here. Father, you have to come back. They're here.
Who's that? Who's that talking?
It's Providence. I'm waiting, Father. We're all waiting. Come back to us.
I'm coming. And I'll run out the nearest exit.
Make a composure check for me, please.
2 degrees of failure.
That's unfortunate.
I'll use 3 competency
To make it 1 degree of failure?
to make it
Or 1 degree of success?
success, yeah.
Very well. There are, as far as I can tell, still 2 competency points in the shared pool, should you choose to use those before the end of the session.
We'll probably use them, but not yet.
You rush through a door, and Immediately, it all comes back to you. You're standing naked in the snow. The wind is whipping across you. There are smears of blood everywhere, but you don't see any bodies. Your children, some of them, are standing 300-400 feet away from you in a circle, and they're all just staring at you, the dead.
And there's nothing here? No bodies, no.
Nothing here, no. You don't feel the pain, but your legs are twisted. The flesh on them is swirled and intertwined with itself in strange ways, just like your shoulder.
Can I walk?
Easily. They're fully functional, they're just not quite right.
I turn to my children. Let's go home. I start heading towards Providence.
Lampwick, you instinctively find yourself turned and walking in a direction, and something inside of you tells you that this is the way to go. As you make your way through the snow, you don't feel the cold as it whips around you. It's perhaps midday. It's a gray, lifeless day. The trees are empty. There's no movement. And as you start to walk towards what you know to be Babylon, you come to the place that it all happened. And you remember everything before you lost control. The trees here are broken and shattered. Some of Achira's gear is scattered across the ground here, lying half buried in the snow. And at your feet is a hooked bit of metal. And you recognize her hand scythe.
I pick it up.
You know how much this weapon meant to her.
Mm-hmm.
She would never leave it behind.
This is bad. Do I see any tracks?
With the recent snow, most of them are gone. However, there is a glyph that's been carved into a tree not far away from all of this. You don't recognize it. It's something the wildlings leave. Marks and glyphs to communicate with one another, scratched into rocks and trees. You don't know what this means, but you do know that it was left by them and left recently.
Can I see? Do I notice it on any other trees?
No, just this one.
I don't know what this means exactly. I don't know if I ever learned their speak. With that much more urgency, I'm rushing back to Babylon.
You rush back. Faith. It's been a few days since you interrogated Arlo. The rest of the soldiers at the Citadel have a newfound respect of you. Many of them treat you very differently. Any kind of camaraderie or personal affability between you and many of the soldiers seems to have dissipated into thin air. They salute you when you enter rooms. They're silent when you speak. They do not argue. They do not question your leadership. They follow orders almost immediately. Your meals have been served to you either alone or with Riggs in the command center. You haven't, in the entire time that you've been part of the Citadel, your entire life, you were raised here as a child. You were made a soldier here. But part of you, somewhere deep inside, had always felt like maybe you didn't belong. Is that how Faith feels now?
No. Faith understands now. There's no being nice to everyone and surviving in any way that's meaningful. Friendship is a luxury that few can afford. The life here I left, I thought it was all wrong and a lie. When Omar died, I lost sight that I had more family. Here in the Citadel, I still had, at the time, Rowan. And I might have misjudged what had been going on at the Citadel. After failing, or what I think is failing at Pine Haven, even though I left for their sake, I know they resent me for it, that I wasn't able to lead them properly. And I feel like I failed there because I wasn't tough. I wasn't more like Riggs. And I'm not going to make that mistake again.
You have access to a great number of resources. You have fully invested yourself into the Citadel. You have ensured the safety of Pine Haven. Cammy's child, and all of the other survivors that were left behind at that place. They are secure, protected by the detachment of Citadel soldiers that's been left there. A few days have passed, and Riggs has allowed you to find your own way for a while. Hasn't been hovering over your shoulder while you operated. In fact, you've been surprised at how much he's actually been stepping back, leaving almost the entire operation of this facility in your hands. You've been making not only the calls for day-to-day operations, but you've been delegating to the other officers and soldiers within this place. And now you understand the full weight of this, of what's on the line. You're briefed every single day with a resource checklist. What is needed to survive for the next month? Not year, not years. What is needed for the current number of living bodies that is protected and sheltered by the Citadel? What is needed to make that happen? And now you see how razor thin the difference is between survival and death. There is no room for error. If one shipment from the Citadel falls astray, if it's taken out by Romero's or lost, there's a very real chance that someone will die, either through starvation or lack of medical care. And it's not just this facility. It's all of the communities that have pledged themselves to the leadership of this place, the leadership of Riggs. You now. You're not just in charge of a community. You're in charge of an entire network. And there are no rag and bone, no merchants to travel between these places any longer. The Citadel has to do it, and they have to be armed convoys. And you have groups of soldiers that are coming in and out all of the time. Your days are full. You barely sleep. You're exhausted. But there's something fulfilling about the work to you. Something that gives you purpose in a way that perhaps you didn't have before. You're the tether now that keeps hundreds of people alive. At some point on the third day, while you're poring over maps, looking for better routes to send the convoys along, everything that gets sent along the old Ender's routes seems to be under attack. You get a visit from Riggs. You smell his cigar before anything else, and as the large, older man enters into the room like a clumsy bear, pushing himself through the door, cigar in hand, dark eyes beaming at you. How goes it?
The usual. Need more roots, need more supplies. It'll be fine, though.
What's the plan? What do you, he leans down by the maps that you have out in front of you. What do you think it's going to take to get this thing done?
New routes. We need to educate more of our soldiers to learn how to track, to find safe passage. They mostly only know how to fight. I think our community needs more knowledge, quite frankly. The things we're lacking, I think we could improve if we had more help.
Yeah. Living people, it's a double-edged sword, you know. Either we find the individuals that are going to be able to stop all of this, or we're going to have to stop it ourselves. We don't know exactly what's coming day to day. Each of the people that we bring in here can be a liability just as much as they can be an aid. It's not as easy as just allowing the gates to open up and welcoming any asshole that walks up asking for help. You've seen that now.
I know.
So how do we do it? What do you think?
I just think that we need a better system for getting new members of the community. They need to stay separately, be observed, which is just more work. But I think we can do it. I think if we just offer them more freedom at the beginning, let them know there's going to be some hard choices ahead, I think people will be willing to come without us forcing them. I mean, the other choice is death. I think we'll be okay.
I mean, we give them the choice here now. You want protected, you want within the walls, you do what we fucking say. Seems pretty straightforward.
Right, but we have a reputation. That's not great outside these walls, and I think it's really hard to understand.
A necessary reputation.
I know.
They need to fear us. If they don't, we're just sitting ducks. So how, Faith, do you suggest we try to recruit? Because I'm honestly listening. I've tried everything else. And to be real fucking honest here, I just don't know that there are enough assholes in this world left living to really make this work. But I'm not giving the fuck up. I'm not quitting, and neither are you. So what's our play?
I think we need to find more failing communities. People who are desperate, get them to join. I also think that we need to take our satellite communities and bring them in. I think the more people we have in the Citadel, in the main area, the easier it'll be to protect them.
That's a lot of resources we're going to leave behind. They're farming for us. They're gathering. They're scavenging. If we do that, we're going to have to figure out how to feed them all. And we're not going to have the same resources we had before. But it's a damn good idea.
I don't know. It's a hard choice. I feel like whether we do that or not, we still run the risk of all dying out. I mean, basically, we need more families. We need more people being born in this community. I don't know how you force that to happen.
Well, through my experience, you don't need to force much of anything. If you give nature the opportunity, it seems to make it happen.
Okay, I don't want to have this talk with you right now, but...
Rowan did all that shit. I wouldn't have anything to do with it. If I told you about the birds and the bees, it would have ended real badly for all of us.
Okay, all right. We're moving right along. We're moving right along. How you been feeling?
I'm glad. I'm glad you're fucking here. I'm glad you've listened to what I have to say and you've come around. I was worried there for quite a while that you might not.
I don't know that I came around or if I just ran out of options, but...
Yeah, you gotta remember why we're fucking doing this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this to you. That's Arlo.
Soda tab.
You know, Rowan, rest in peace, she used to collect those.
I know.
One for every stupid asshole she took off this rock. She kept track. Not because she was a heartless bitch, but she was a heartless bitch. But not just because of that. Because she didn't want to forget what the price was for what we're doing.
Rowan was tough. I'll give her that. And you're right, there is a price for all of this, to live like this. It wasn't great in Pine Haven. I didn't do the best job out there, but I think they're faring better now that I'm here, diverting resources to them.
They are.
That bunker,
Yeah, let's talk about that.
you sound like you know all about it.
I don't know all about it. Seems like you know quite a bit, though. How long have you and all the others known that it was there?
Play games with you. I feel like you knew all of this information earlier. We all suspected it was there. We tried to look for it. I think we found it. But the biggest issue is Kusanagi knows it's there, and he's going to keep coming after the community. It's covered right now, but the moment it's unearthed, I think that's over for Piney Haven. That's it. They're all going to die under Kusanagi.
Over my dead fucking body. No. I didn't know all of that. But I knew a good deal about Blockbuster's little mythical safe house. You know, Kusanagi wouldn't talk when he was a guest here. He was playing you all from the fucking start. You didn't see it. I did. You know, he was sabotaging your radios the entire time he was with you. He was playing the Ender's line on 3 different sides, spewing bullshit to your face and betraying you every step of the way. He was always intending on using you and your resources to get what he needed to get close to the bunker and then let you all die out there alone. Yeah, but he wouldn't talk. I mean, I respect his dedication, but The little weasel is tough. Too tough. I was peeling skin off his arms and back, and he still wouldn't give me everything.
Did you let him go?
No, I did not let him go. But it just so happens that Rowan brought a horde of real special walker things back onto us, dropping these monstrous dead upon us.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about.
I think I know a little about that. Well, things are certainly changing. That bunker, whatever's in there, that Kusanagi is willing to risk everything for it. It's got to be important. And I don't think, our community, at Pinehaven, Achira and them, they wouldn't have wanted me telling you about the bunker. I wasn't telling you about the bunker for quite a while. But I can see now that there's no way we survive in our tiny little groups trying to fight each other constantly. I think in the end we'll either work together or we'll kill each other.
I think we're already on the right track. I'm going to send out the word. We're going to start to pull in all of the ancillary communities that are out there in the Pin region. The Iron Cage is about to get a lot smaller. The Citadel will reconsolidate. We'll bring in new bodies. We'll start to train. We'll double our efforts. But you and I, we've got unfinished business that we have to take care of. We need to hunt a weasel. Because as long as Kusanagi is out there, neither Pinehaven nor what Pinehaven is holding underneath it is safe. More importantly, my fucking son isn't safe.
So we find and kill Kusanagi.
Exactly. We find and we kill Kusanagi. Now, Arlo is already out of the picture, but he wasn't going to tell us anything anyway. He didn't know. You could tell in his face right before you kicked him into the swimming hole. However, from the intel that I've gathered from Pinehaven and the survivors there's another option. This Declan individual was never found.
That's right.
There's a lot of speculation that maybe he lived. Real messed up, but probably lived. So if we can find Declan and we twist the screw, we might be able to find Kusanagi.
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I think that's a very good plan, Riggs. Congratulations. I'm going to find every fucker that betrayed me, that betrayed Pinehaven, that killed a third of my community, and I'm going to make them all pay.
That's what I like to hear. Pauline. It's very dark. You're cold. You're shivering. Feels like ice is forming over your eyes, but you manage to open them. Everything is bright and blurry. You hear that Victrola off in the distance, growing louder and louder.
I try to sit up.
You pull yourself up. Your head hurts. Feels like it's being squeezed in a vice. Slowly as the pressure builds and you swim in your own mind as your blood pulls itself back down as you sit up. Tips of your fingers feel frozen and you see your breath raggedly pluming in front of you.
I instinctively raise my hand to the part where my head hurts and then pull it away and see the blood. Do I remember anything in the moments before?
You just remember falling, and then darkness. You remember the gunshot, and then the darkness. You remember hearing shouting and a roar of some sort. Monstrous, horrible sound, and the darkness.
I am so cold. I'm just gonna try to drag myself inside.
You can't really stand. You stumble as you try, and you sort of fall through the doorway of the caretaker's house into the old gray threshold. There's a rotten old rug that you slide across, and it deteriorates as you roll inward. Something on the other side of the door closes it as you're now in complete darkness. You hear the floorboards creaking around you.
Providence, is that you?
It's okay. It's alright. Please don't cry.
And you feel these long, spindly fingers across your face move themselves towards your scalp, towards your wound, and there's a tinge of pain as they find the source of all of the fogginess that's in your mind.
You ate the fruit.
Yes. Fuck. Ow.
What did you see?
There were big machines, and we got on them. And we were happy.
That's so nice. I see it through your eyes. I see it in your eyes.
Is it too dark to see?
Yes, you just see like a shadow over you, and the hunched form of Providence as you can't see her face, but you can tell that even though she has her head turned away from you, she's moving her hands across you and like gingerly feeling to see where you might be wounded.
Where's Spike? That's I try to push my. It's not funny.
Don't move. You're hurt. I will take care of you. I will take care of you.
I don't know where he is.
You don't need Spike. You have me.
You feel her finger across your cheek, and she picks up your tear and pulls it to her. And even though it's dark, it sounds like she eats it.
You think, as a friend, we could find him?
Have you seen the blue star?
No.
She moves towards the window and the curtain.
You will.
I don't know what to do. Stop telling me to shut up.
I don't want you to let them know we're here.
Who?
The mother is here. We have to be quiet, or she'll hurt us.
Who's the mother?
I'll find your dog. Follow me.
And she starts to move across the floor. As the floorboards creak, she stops, and you can see through the slight light that's penetrating through a curtained window that she's covering her face again. And then she just looks back to see if you're following, and then darts down into what looks like a kitchen, back where you found that spike, that pole that you grabbed.
Right.
You do not have it now.
Right, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I kind of, having learned my lesson from before, trying to stand up, slowly get onto all fours and follow Providence.
You slowly make your way into the kitchen, and as soon as you kind of push your way through, again, your eyes are adjusting. It's almost pitch black, and you're stumbling over furniture and pushing yourself outward. You hear the creaking of a door somewhere to your right.
I know how she works at this point.
Mhm.
I'll follow the noise.
You start moving down steps, going down into a basement.
Be so careful. Have I been to the basement in this house before?
You've never been to the basement of this house. And you can sort of hear things through her. You hear the muted sounds of the floorboards and the stairs creaking underneath you. You hear the Victrola somewhere. It always feels like it's in the same room with you, just further away, like in a corner or something. And you hear her ahead of you.
It's just down here.
I stop halfway down. It's kind of dark down there, Providence.
Kind of dark everywhere.
Different kind of dark. But I take one more step down. What's down here?
The places that I hide.
Okay. Like the attic, huh?
The attic is where I play. The basement is where we hide.
All right. We'll hide.
You feel her hand wrap around yours, and she guides you down the rest of the stairs. Again, even though it's pitch black here, you feel as if she constantly keeps her face away from yours. It always sounds like she's talking away from you. Even though everything is like you're hearing it through cotton, there's something strange. You know that you're not really hearing these things, but that you're experiencing them through her. Whenever the two of you are near, somehow she links the two of you together. And she pushes you down, and you feel rocks and dirt, and she's trying to put you into a hole.
I don't want to go down in there, Providence.
You have to hide. I don't want anything to happen to your face.
Does Mother do something to my face, huh?
Yes.
Can I tell how deep this hole is?
You don't know. Or you're going to make a composure roll.
Yeah. I really hate that I
Put these 3 black dice of difficulty on top of that, please.
Providence! I hate that I trust her! Oh, God, okay. Composure. On my little phone. Shit.
That is a 90 plus the 3 dice of difficulty that you haven't rolled yet.
Oh,
Oh.
And those
That's
are 2
2
exploding
exploding.
die.
Oh my
It's
God.
it's 5 degrees of failure no matter what.
So 5 is the most that you can ever achieve in degrees of failure or success. So you have 5 degrees of failure in this moment as you feel terror working its way in. Whatever is inside of this hole, whatever's happening with you in Providence, it's reaching something inside of you, some primal part of yourself that just wants to turn and run away.
I'm gonna spend some competency.
That's good. You have 6 in the shared pool, just so you know.
Yeah.
But if you do allow this to be a catastrophic failure, you're most likely going to black out. If you bring it down to a more acceptable failure, we'll see what happens.
The one thing that I don't want to do is try to run. Because I know that even if there is something out there that is threatening, not placating Providence is the most dangerous thing in this moment. I am going to spend 3 competency of my own out of my personal 6. And I'm taking 3 from the pool, friends.
There are 3 then remaining.
Oh.
To take it to 1 degree of success.
Despite the terror rising up within you, Polly, you stop and breathe and realize that a false move now could forfeit everything. Could be the end of it. Maybe you don't fully trust Providence, or perhaps you do. But the alternative, it seems, whoever this other thing is, this person that Providence is afraid of, cannot be anything other than horrendous. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. There is a cold wind breaking through the barn as one half of it has completely collapsed. There are other crates around it. And DT, you are standing with black bile dripping off of this makeshift weapon that you are carrying, this long pole-handled pickaxe that's been sharpened and has recently found itself embedded in the massive malformed head of some abomination. And its entire mass, easily 4 or 5 times larger than you, lies face down in the straw and the dirt, dead. Behind you, your sister, Sugar, stands. And she's just spoken to you, warning you of some coming danger.
Do I know what Sugar's talking about?
You do. You've never been here when it's happened, but you know about it. You've seen the caravan from a distance, the palanquin, and you hear the trudging through the snow now. And you can see just through the entrance of the barn, shapes moving. You think you're hidden. Do you want to remain hidden, or do you wish to go out?
Can I do a spell-listen check to see how close the shape is?
Yes. So you can make a roll here.
That fails.
Okay. How much does it fail by?
Mine is 49/65.
So you have just 2 degrees of failure, and you can use either your own competency, although you've used, I believe, all of yours now.
Yeah.
Or you can use some of the pool that is left to you. There are 6 competency points available. If you use 3, it becomes a success. If you use 1, it's still a failure. If you use 2, it's still a failure. 3 will mitigate it entirely and turn it into a success.
I'm gonna stay hidden for now. I'm gonna grab Sugar and make sure she stays back and stays quiet.
Your sister is clumsier than she was before. She doesn't seem quite acclimated to this new body. This isn't the first time your sister's found herself in a new body. You know that it'll take a few weeks for her to truly become like she was. So you pull her down. Make a lift pull roll for me. I just want to make sure that you don't stumble because of how awkward she is.
Okay.
That's a very good roll. I'm not going to have you do anything else. You succeed in very carefully bringing your sister down and out of sight, and her eyes are moving wildly. The milky, dead orbs shoot back and forth, and it's like she's hearing things that you're not. And you hide, and you see through the crack in the barn as the morning light starts to break over the ridges of the tree line and kind of cast this wild pink and purple hue across the snow. You see all of the dead, your father's flock, turn as a carriage, a palanquin, is carried by a large number of the dead. Romero's shoulder a platform with a tint across the top of it. And it's all in black, and it's draped in these laces and these sheer fabrics that whip in the wind. And you can see that there's some massive form inside of that tent, moving. You've seen it from a distance before, but never this close. It's another one that's very much like your father. And her flock is following after her, as Babylon has visitors. Two of the dead in the front are ringing bells, and they chime out in the morning light. What do you do?
I'm gonna look at Sugar and reassure her that if we just stay calm, we can make it out of this. We've never been this close, but as long as we can get to Polly, she'll know what to do. As long as we get to Father, they'll know what to do. DT's feeling a little lost, so she's feeling like she's getting to that state of mania again, but she's trying to calm herself down, so she's just slowly pacing. And I think she is going to try to sneak out once they've gone past far enough to get back to Polly.
You watch as this palanquin is carried towards the center of the encampment. There's a large amphitheater with old, broken, grown-over concrete seating and a concrete platform on the base of it where a stage was once used by the people who lived here in the time before. Now it's a charnel pit. There are rotten bodies strewn out all across it, the remains of countless meals. Bones and frozen gore are smeared across the entirety of this place. In the summer, when you've been here, it's covered in flies. But that isn't something that happens in the winter. So you watch as the palanquin and the veiled figure is brought down. And as the bells ring, two figures in black robes with hoods emerge from underneath the palanquin and start to wave these large brass orbs back and forth across this stage in a circle as plumes of incense burn out around it. And then they kneel. And you watch as from the veiled tent, a large figure emerges. Her form doesn't make sense. She has rolls of flesh, and she's dragging behind her arms and legs like a veil or a train on a dress, but made from flesh. It isn't a skin, it's alive. Her bald, lumpy head is like a frog's, and her mouth is splayed open with sharp, jagged, piranha-like teeth. Black eyes that weep the bile all the way across her fat, rosy cheeks. Her fingers on the two large limbs that you can see moving in front of her are short and stocky. And she steps down and walks to the center of this amphitheater and turns and looks at you.
Do I know what she wants?
You're so far away, you don't know how she can see you. There is no way she's really looking at you. She's just looking in your direction, right?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
She might be looking for sugar.
Do you think that she can communicate with sugar?
Yeah, she definitely can communicate with sugar.
I need you to make a composure roll.
Oh no.
That's very nice.
It's like burn it with fire.
I could hear.
No.
Oh no.
That's 5 degrees of failure.
Woof.
There are 10 competency in the shared pool. However, I'm going to warn you. You need more than just a simple success here. This is something more dangerous. This is why they fear the mother so much.
How many do I need to make it a success?
I think
6.
technically 6.
But we know you need more now.
To make it a
Right.
success.
Bigger success.
Oh my
But if you
God.
wish to truly mitigate the effects of what is happening,
Hey, chat, you love us, right?
Hey, chat.
Chat.
I mean,
Got
Or is this,
question?
is this a trick to get us to use all the
I
comments?
will-
use it. I mean, you know what?
Look who you're talking
Like,
about. It's
I
Knox.
don't-
Of course it is.
I'd use it.
I know, I did this last week.
I'd use at least 7 of them
I
to
use,
make
like, all
it
of
2
them in one
degrees
go.
of success.
That's smart. Then
Just
there's
get
still
wild.
some.
I don't know if that's. I mean, it's
I would-
Knox though. I don't know. At least that.
I think, yeah.
I don't like
Because
this.
it's there.
Look at this look, I hate it.
this is the game.
Oh man.
Oh, God.
You have very little time to make this
Okay.
decision.
Let's go with 7. We'll go 7 for instant success.
Leaving 3 in the shared pool.
Oh my God.
Your sister, Sugar, turns to you. And then stops.
Sugar, are you still with me? Run? You have to come with me. No, I can't lose you again. I think DT knows that when Sugar says that to her that it's serious, and DT's gonna try to run.
Are you running back into the barn, across Babylon, or into the woods?
From the situation across Babylon, that would cross the mother, wouldn't it?
You could make a stealth roll and attempt to remain behind the Romeros. If you're very quick and you're low to the ground, you're not even certain if the mother is really seeing you
Okay.
as much as she's sensing your sister.
We'll go out into the woods.
pull back into the woods, into the dark, as the morning light rises across Babylon. You pull back into the covered shadows behind you, leaving your sister as she stands there, fighting against some unseen force. For just one moment, she looks back at you, and there's a black bile tear running down her cheek as she turns away. And reverberating through all of Babylon as you pull back into the trees, you hear the mother. As wordlessly the dead turn and start to move towards the amphitheater. Lampwick, you hear this as you pull yourself closer to Babylon. You don't remember this. This is familiar, but you are hitting a wall. Something is standing in your way. What do you do?
I know that I don't remember things and that I've relied on people in this community to help me. And I heard Providence call me forth. So I'm heading there. I'm heading to where Providence is. And if I see anyone that I know along the way, I will stop to engage them.
So you do find someone as you get closer to Babylon, standing out in the middle of the wilderness, just a short distance away from your encampment. The figure that is swaying there is Clancy. You have recently fed Clancy your blood, given him your flesh, and fed him. He is a large abomination now, bigger than he was before, and he was large to begin with. His body has formed many of those knotted twists of flesh that have supplemented your own physique recently, but you've seen more than once on the large creatures that had hunted Achira relentlessly. This large figure, Clancy, is standing there, but not looking at you and not paying any attention to you whatsoever, staring towards Babylon and towards that rumble of a groan that issued forth from there.
This place is mine. I'm gonna step towards him. And I'm gonna get right next to him and put my hand on his shoulder. And I'm gonna turn my attention towards where that rumbling came. And as I squeeze his shoulder, I'm gonna let out my own.
Make a command roll.
Zombie
That is that's 5 degrees of success.
Clancy stops and looks at you. Seemingly broken away from this fog that had been placed over not only him, but a large majority of your flock. They turn back towards you now as the dead start moving in your direction, but another half of them are still moving closer into Babylon.
I'm gonna bring them back. I don't like this. So I'm gonna gather the ones that have come to me, and I'm gonna let them follow me towards those that have yet to wake up.
You gather your flock around you, those that are nearby, those that seem to be affected by your call, broken away from this call of whatever else has entered into your home. However, as you're doing so, you hear Providence. Father.
Yes.
We need your help.
Where? I don't remember. Remind me of what's happening.
Hide from the mother. It isn't time.
Hide?
She's too much.
Where do I hide? Where is it safe? I don't remember.
Come. We'll go to the safe place together.
I grab Clancy and I start running.
The rest of the Romero around you seem more generalized, less special. They're not evolved like Clancy is. But you are dragging Clancy with you, and as you break along the forest, DT, you see your father. He's looks confused and lost, and he's pulling a large abomination behind him. Not too unlike the one that you just killed, though you know that one didn't belong in the flock. That came from her. What would you like to do?
How far is he from me?
You see him down on the ridge. He's probably 300 to 400 feet away. You could make noise, or you could try to slide down the cliffside to get to him. Or you could try something else.
Is there something around me that I could grab and throw in the area to get their attention?
There are rocks and roots and pine cones.
Yeah, I want to pick up a rock and try to throw it in their direction just to get them to look up. That way I do not need to yell or slide down.
Just make a throw check, and all you need to do is make one success on this, and it'll do exactly as you hope.
Oh, no.
No.
That's 100, which is the worst possible roll that you can make. You've rolled the best possible roll to make, and now you've rolled the worst.
Wow.
That's 5 degrees of failure automatically. I don't believe that there are enough shared competency for you to fix this. There's only 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
With even a catastrophic failure on this, all you do is you realize that you've thrown the rock in the absolutely wrong direction. It hits a tree, it bounces back towards you, and it hits the ground 2 feet away from you.
DT's just frustrated. Just screw it. And she's going to try to slide down to him.
Okay. You begin tumbling and sliding down. Are you doing this quickly, or are you taking your time to try to be safe?
Just going to be safe.
All right. Then I won't make you roll. Lampwick, I need you to make a spot lesson check.
No. 40 is a failure.
You're too far
yeah.
gone. You're distracted. Unless you want to spend your own competency to mitigate that. You might assume that I'm simply asking you to roll that to see if you notice that DT is
Right.
close by,
No.
but that might be a mistake.
82 over
Uh-huh.
43.
43, so you have effectively 4 degrees
That's
of failure.
I, Shit. I'm going to use...
It is catastrophic. If you don't at least remove one point of
I'll
failure,
use it.
I'm going to cause you to not be able to make a spot listen for
Yeah,
some
that's
time.
not good. I'm going to use one competency. Oh man, I'll use one of mine.
How many
Okay.
do you have remaining?
I have 2 left.
I know.
All right. You still fail, but not catastrophically. You're making your way through the tree line. Polly, this hole, it's tight. It's very small. You're absolutely covered in wet dirt. You feel worms crawling down your back and across your skin as you pull yourself through roots that scratch you.
I'm essentially jamming myself further into this hole. Like it's not straight down, but goes.
It goes straight down, but then you see that it breaks off and it turns, and it's a tunnel.
Oh God. Yeah, I'm gonna keep going.
You keep pushing through, and you feel every once in a while Providence's hand on your back or on your leg, gently pushing you forward. And you hear the broken Victrola, and eventually it sounds like it's coming in front of you, not behind you.
Providence. I don't think I ever asked what the music was.
Have you seen the blue star?
Okay.
Have you?
No, Providence.
You will.
I know. And I keep crawling forward.
As you push forward, you lose track of time. There are points where you can't breathe, and the earth is all around you, and you're with your fingertips pulling yourself forward. You can't go back. You can only go forward, and it feels like you've been buried alive. But you keep going despite the tightness of the space around you, the tunnel that you find yourself in, the claustrophobia that presses down in this pitch blackness around you, the wiggling worms and bugs that crawl across you, and the wet, slick, slimy earth as the seeping snow that melts finds its way down here. You don't think you're so far below ground any longer as you're shivering and cold, and you feel Providence's strange hands against you as she keeps slowly pushing you forward, gently guiding you, trying to get you to move forward. And if you stop, she encourages you to keep going. If you stop, this is forever.
Are we almost done?
Almost. And then we can have tea.
Can't go backwards.
Keep going.
I keep going.
Eventually, Polly, you pull yourself forward, and you don't realize because it's dark, but your hands don't hit anything, and you feel cold air and a large open space. And in a moment, you realize there's a shifting so that you can hear. You couldn't before, but now you hear dripping water everywhere around you.
Mother can't find us there.
Is it dark? Can I get to this place? Can I push my way out?
You have to let go.
I don't understand. Let go of what?
The ledge. You have to let go. Let go.
Yeah, I'm doing it. Okay. And whatever way that means.
Well, all you feel is open air in front of you as you are pulling yourself out of the tunnel.
I have to drop.
You think that's what she means, yes.
I try to turn myself so that my back is against and reach up with my hands to get the opening and push myself forward as much as I can, maybe grasping onto anything outside of this space. If
Make
possible.
a lift pull for me, please.
Absolutely.
As you pull yourself out of this hole in the ground into this open air, pitch black cavern.
You know how good I am in lift pull.
All of us, really.
Right.
Okay, that's not bad. That is 1 degree of failure.
With 1 degree of failure, you can ride that out, and I'll tell you what happens. Or you could use your own competency, or we do have 8 available points in the pool currently.
Thank you, y'all.
I am going.
Don't be so quick to assume it's going to help you.
Son, I know what I'm
They
doing.
give us nothing.
You'll be happy with this game.
I am going to spend 1 of my own and 1 from the group to make that 1 success.
So you spend 1 from the group, and you convert this into 1 success. You drop into the darkness as your fingers slip. However, you do not hurt yourself as you lose control and fall into the darkness. You hit freezing water, and your body immediately tenses up like a board as your spirit feels like it leaps out of your body, and you are underwater for a moment, and you're shivering immediately as you burst out from the very surface of this icy cold water. Can you swim?
Not well. I think normally in good situations I can swim enough to save myself, but I am injured, cold, and wearing heavy clothing, and I think I start to sink.
Make an endurance check.
Yeah.
And while you're making that check, DT, you are following your father now, trying to make your way down this ridge. He's quite a ways ahead of you, but you've carefully made your way all the way down to the bottom of this valley. And in the morning light, the snow-covered ground glistens in front of you as you see the ragged form of your father pulling himself and this large abomination behind him.
I think I'm far enough away. Will I be able to call out to him?
You can.
I just want to try slightly yelling, not full voice, but lowly yelling. Father! Father!
I'm
Do I
going
hear
to
that?
allow Lampwick to make a spot listen check. Since it's not a full yell,
That is one success.
then you hear.
I stop, and I recognize the voice.
You do,
I turn immediately in that direction, and I look.
but you don't see Sugar.
Where's your sister?
You slowly start walking. She's gone. She's here. They're all here.
I know, we need to leave. Come with us, and I'll go meet DT and then continue where, at least I believe, I need to go.
You know where you need to go. You know where to go.
I am going there. Come with us, you'll be safe.
Do you follow your father?
Yes, I follow him.
The two of you press through the snow away from Babylon towards a series of hills, jagged peaks not far from the encampment. You make your way to a gash that works its way through the shale that juts out from the ground here. It's a cave. A dark slash in the morning light in front of you. Your father seems confused. His mind isn't all here. You've seen him like this before. He seems to be trying to pull himself back. Is there anything you would like to do?
I'd like to ask him if he knows where we're going.
I know. Where, we need to be safe. Where,
We have to do something.
I don't,
They're all gonna be gone.
who?
Sugar, she's gone.
Sugar's gone?
Babylon, all of it. It's all gonna be gone. She's here. You don't understand.
I
You
don't,
have to remember.
we need to be safe. Where are we going? Where are we going? I can't remember.
I thought you knew where we were going.
I need help. 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 I don't,
Polly?
where's Polly?
I left her
Where's Polly? Where's,
at the grave taker. I don't know who else.
Polly!
You have to be quiet. You don't understand. She's here. She's going to take us all out.
I need you to take me to where the memories are. That's where I go to remember. I'm slipping. I need you to help me remember. What happened? What's happened? Who's here?
I don't know. There's no one left.
Anything, just tell me anything, the trigger, anything, please, just anything.
I don't know. I don't know if I even know you anymore. I've been gone for so long. I met a friend of yours.
Who?
Achira. But she said you did really bad things to her, and now I don't know. I don't know what's real.
Achira. Where's Achira?
I don't know. Everyone's gone.
DT, you know what's real. You do, you know.
I don't.
You know, tell me
Sugar's
what
gone.
you've seen.
She's
Tell
gone
me.
again.
Who is?
Sugar. You helped her.
I did. I helped her.
And now Mother's
I
back.
helped her for you. I helped her for you.
Yes.
Because I want you to have family. I don't want you to be alone. I don't ever want you to be alone.
Oh, look at us now. We're alone, aren't we?
I know that we're close to where we need to be safe. I just don't remember.
Father,
Yeah?
come inside.
Who's talking?
Don't you know me?
I do. You're familiar, yes.
Who are you
Yes.
talking to?
He doesn't seem to be talking to anyone. He seems to be talking to the open air in front of him.
Father, come inside.
Okay.
It's nice in here. We're safe. This is the safe place.
Okay.
Okay, you know where we're going?
Yeah, we're going in here. Inside this cave.
Okay, are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
I move forward.
The two of you step into the cave. It's dark, but it's warmer than it is outside. DT, you feel something is here. There's a stirring in the darkness. You hear rocks moving in front of you, and there's a dark form. It looks like Providence, but she's not showing you her face. She's hiding, and she's lurking on the far outskirts. And you see, for just a moment, as the morning light passes into the cave, a little bit of gray flesh and the rips in her dress. You see the lumps of her spine as they twist back and forth like a roller coaster. Her straggly dark hair hangs down around her. There are bald patches, and she pulls herself back into the darkness. But before she does, a long finger reaches out and she points down into the cave further.
She's down there. She's waiting.
Take me to her.
She's there, Father. She's there.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna move forward, DT.
What?
Come with me.
Is this safe?
Yes. Yes.
You sure?
I will do everything I can to keep you safe.
Guess I'll trust you.
I'm gonna reach out my hand, since we're in a darker place, for you to take it.
DT reluctantly gives her hand over and decides to trust Outbreak.
And the two of you step further into the cave.
Yes.
You see a flicker, a glow of a fire. Further down,
I move towards it.
and you follow hand in hand.
Yep.
And the two of you walk towards this fire.
And I'm taking Clancy with us as well.
Clancy's lumbering behind you.
That's
You
good.
have firm control over Clancy at this point.
Great.
There are no other dead in the vicinity, though. And as the three of you approach the flame, you see Polly, bone dry, facing the rocky wall. Her back is turned to you. You see her jacket, the one that you gave her, the one that you took off of the biker, one of the guilty that you punished. And she's standing there.
I
What
move
do you do?
forward. I'm going to move forward, and I will call out to Polly as I approach. Polly, is that you?
You know that Polly can't hear you.
Providence. I need your help. I need Polly to hear me.
Polly's not here.
Then who's this?
Don't you know me, Father? It's me,
I'm moving forward.
Providence.
But it's not coming from inside your head. It's coming from Polly as she faces the wall. Achira,
I don't want your apologies. What was your name again?
Dr. Banerjee.
What do you need for me to do next, Banerjee?
I just want to talk to you for a while. It is a simple thing, but important. You are no longer physically contaminated, but you have spent much time amongst the infected.
I was surviving. That's adapting. Are you saying I'm mentally infected?
No, I am not. I need to know that when you enter into our place, this place, that you will leave the world that you came from behind you. You have survived. That is due to your clever mind, your determination, your willingness to do anything at all to make it through the day. But this place, Steel City, it's not the world out there. Do you understand what I am saying?
I understand that you have a very strong belief that what you have in there is somehow different than how it is everywhere else in every community that I've interacted with. Banerjee, when was the last time you got yourself analyzed, if you truly believe that?
We have redundancies that prevent anyone within the command structure from causing any sort of disturbance within our safety and sanctuary. This place, it's all that's really left.
I made my choice. What else do you want from me?
Tell me about the man that you call Lampwick.
What exactly do you want to know? And why can't you just talk to me face to face?
There will be a time for that, I promise. For now, tell me about Lampwick when you met him.
It seems like you already know a lot about me, so I met Lampwick when I was with the Enders line. Rag and Bone, merchants going from community to community. Basically, if you needed something, I was part of a group that would go and get it for you. However, it needed to be got. That's where I met Lampwick, on the road. Part of
Were you
Enders line.
present when he was altered?
That's a way to describe when my love was murdered and he ended up having to eat part of her. No, I was not there, and I ended up finding that out, what he did what the shepherds made him do a long time later. Do you think I would have left him alive if I'd been there?
Good. You're angry. Do you know what he is? Have you seen it?
When your people tranked me in my neck and dragged my body out of that wood, all of them saw it, and you know I saw it.
What if I told you that we saved your life?
I don't believe that.
Don't you?
No, I don't. I was in there with the dead, or the animated dead, or whatever you want to call them, and Lampwick, and he came back from that. At the end, he did change. But if he came back before, I know that he could come back again. I can't explain what he is.
I can.
I'm listening.
The people responsible for all of this believe it to be a divine intervention. They saw the end of days as the foretold cleansing of the world. Those of us who studied the infection when it was happening, we believed that it could be contained, controlled, eliminated.
Is this before or after you decided to experiment on children? On children that you'd consider expendable, like me,
Quite the opposite.
and Blaine, my brother.
You and your brother possess the genetic makeup to make it possible that you could survive. We saved you, and we would have saved your brother had he survived.
Okay, you don't get to talk about that. You don't get to talk about him that way.
I understand. I lost my daughter when it happened. She was supposed to go to school, study, fall in love perhaps, start a life, maybe a family. But that was all taken. We all lost so much. The question is, Achira, do we risk everything to offer that to a new generation? Are we willing to sacrifice everything so that others might live a life outside of the horrors that this world holds? You were chosen because of who you are, and do to the experimentation that was done upon you. You were saved. You were bit, were you not?
How do you know that? And yes, I was.
My operatives. They've been working, looking for you, hoping that you were not lost to us.
You have operatives in Pine Haven?
No. The Citadel.
Oh, of course. Of course.
We have much to discuss. I suggest you get rest. Soon enough, you and I will meet in person, and we'll have that conversation.
Knox, can I use survival points to have secreted and maybe torn off one of the razors from one of the moving clippers? So I have something sharp.
How many survival points would you like to spend?
125?
I think you can do better than that.
Oh, come on. Your inflation on survival points, my dude.
Isn't there communal survival points? Yeah.
There are, but man.
There's 15,000? That seems like too many.
No, that's not too many. Not when it comes to him. You see my 125. I raise you 250.
I'll take 1,000.
Oh my! I lost my pencil. Can it be something that they don't notice that I have then for 1,000?
I assume that is what we're talking about here, that they wouldn't know that you had it, because if they did, I would think that it would end badly for you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, when you say it like that, I'll take the 1,000.
So yeah, so you're sitting on the cot, and yeah, during this conversation you've had this palmed, and you did remove it from the razor in a way that you think that they won't notice. You can't be certain, but certainly you hope so. Faith, you're riding in the back of one of the Ramblers, one of the ATV vehicles that usually do patrols in the area. And you're making your way through a series of checkpoints. This is a small community on the outskirts of the Citadel territory. Hanging in front of these sort of ramshackle walls are corpses that have been strung up to ward off and frighten any sort of marauders or anyone that would come through meaning harm to them. They're not Romeros, they're just dead. And there are birds flocking across the gallows as you and your unit pull through. The gates are open for you, and as you enter in, you see a number of people, gray and bedraggled, washed away, desaturated by this world. They're all looking at you on the steps of these ragged huts. It reminds you of Sullivan Town. A woman comes up to you, up to the vehicle when you stop. Name's Margot. You're with the Citadel?
Yes.
We got your radio transmission. Can't say that I can really argue with your logic there. I know we've been hard up right now with all the trade lines gone. But I want to hear it from you. Why should we join you? Why should we leave this place? I mean, at least it's ours. At least we have control of what happens.
I know you think you have control over what happens over this little community. I felt the same way. I had my own small, secure community outside of the Citadel walls. And it all went to shit. Because it doesn't matter how much you prepare, how confident you are that things here are going to be safe and okay. Someday something's going to come and try to take it away from you. And if you don't have the power, the people, the supplies to make it, you're all just going to die anyway. So, to save other communities from suffering, we are going to consolidate our people, our manpower, and hopefully our future. This isn't just us commanding you to leave. This is us giving you a chance to live, for all of us to work together and have something real that isn't just scraping by. There are factions outside the Citadel who are trying to take away all the food, who are killing others, looking for things. The world is a scary place even without Romeros. So, you come with us, we have a chance. You stay here, you basically don't have one. You're giving up a little bit of freedom to have a future.
Make a persuade check. I'm going to give you 2 automatic successes based on your role play.
Yeah, that was real fucking good.
However, if you roll badly enough, I'm sure you can change
It's
that.
gonna be fine.
That is 1 degree of failure. I will use 3 of my competency.
Is that all you want to use?
Okay, I'll use 4. I'll use 4 competency.
4 competency of your own?
Yes.
That's a critical success. And Margot listens. Others are listening, and you can see that a small circle has formed around this vehicle. All right? Yeah. We'll follow you. We'll pack things up, and we'll make our way back. But there's something you should know.
What's that, Margot?
You ain't the first person to come here trying to get us to join them.
Makes sense. Who is the other group?
They called themselves the Ender's Line.
Well, Margot, thank you for letting me know. And I want to reassure you that we decimated them once before. And we can do it again. Because we are going to live.
Polly, I want you to make a single roll for me.
Yep.
It's a composure roll.
That seems fair. I know you had me roll endurance before. I'm guessing you saw what happened there.
I did.
You did, yes. Okay.
I've taken that into effect.
Absolutely. Composure. Okay, 2 degrees of failure. I'm gonna use competency for this one, friends. I am going to use 1 of my own and 3 from the pool.
Are you sure you don't want to do more than that?
Use the points.
2 of my own and 3 from the pool, 4 from the pool.
Yeah.
That's 6, so 4 degrees of success.
That is a critical success. And as you do so, Polly, you feel yourself fighting against what you now know to be happening. You don't know if there was a tunnel. You're not certain what happened, but you're bone dry. There was no water at all. And you hear Lampwick's voice somewhere off in the distance. DT, you're watching this. You see Polly is turned away from you, and you see Lampwick standing near to her with... did you put your hand onto her back?
I'm approaching.
Yeah.
And I would.
Getting closer as a voice echoes from around Polly. It seems to be coming from Polly. But it's not Polly. You know that.
I'm going to grab the back of Ludwig's back and stop him from grabbing Polly. I don't know if you want to do this. No, that's not Polly.
I need to find out who that is if it's not Polly. I need to look at their face. So I'm gonna kind of
No!
As you get closer, a figure leaps from the darkness and tackles you. Lampwick, you hit the ground and you roll backwards. Polly's still standing there, and you just see a blur of flesh and rags as something darts past you into the darkness. DT, you saw Providence leap from the shadows across the room and plunge across the space to hit your father, and both go rolling across the dirt ground and the rocks as Providence then darts off into the shadows.
I'm going to try to get myself up and steady, and then I'm going to go over to my father and make sure that he's okay and not hurt. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to talk quietly. Are you all right? It's Providence. This isn't safe.
I'm okay. Providence.
DT, you feel from behind you a hand press a finger up against your lips.
What do you want, Providence?
I want her to be safe. I want her to be happy.
You want her to be happy, or you want you to be happy?
I want her face.
You can't do this. You can't have Polly.
You can't tell me what to do.
We can work this out. We can get you someone else, anyone else.
You feel yourself back in your body, but it's like everything is heavy and you can't hear anything at all, by the way. You're in utter silence right now, and your hands are shaking, and you're slowly coming out of it as you realize you're staring at a cave wall, and at your feet you look down are the desiccated corpses of what look like young women in dresses. And all you see are the skulls where their faces have been peeled off. And there's at least 6 or 7 bodies here.
Bones.
Mostly desiccated, mummified figures that are staring up at you.
There is not time. I know what's happened here. I want to reach down, Nox. I want to grab one of these bones. Anything that's sharp. And I want to try to turn around and fight for my life.
You break a rib off, there's a snapping noise as you pull it up. And you turn. And someone lunges towards you. What do you do?
Stab up into it.
I'd like for you to roll to strike. I'd like for you to make a dodge.
I knew it.
As you shove forward towards Polly.
Crap.
Lampwick, what is your intention as you're on the ground, still fogged over by this?
I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna try to get my bearings. I mean, I don't know if Providence has ever lunged at me before.
You don't know, you've never known this to be a problem. You don't know why she's doing it. That's 98, which is really bad.
It's so bad. It's so bad. I'm screaming and I am uncoordinated.
Yeah.
I got a 25 out of 51, so I'm able to
Yeah.
dodge it.
So yeah, you're thrown forward and you actually barrel into Polly, but you roll and you hit the wall and you land in a pile of bones, like bodies that are just down in this little recess by the fire.
Yeah.
And you see the flickering form. You can't see Providence because she keeps darting back into the shadows, but you're standing there, you've lunged forward. Are you going to do anything to mitigate the failure on this?
Let's see, I have a 28, so that's 5 degrees of failure. That's catastrophic.
There's 8 in there.
There are 8 in there, and what I'm worried about is if I fail that badly, I'm opening myself up to getting attacked. I'm
Critical
just going to
failures
use
are bad.
2
Yeah. All
to take
options
it away
here are
from
bad.
critical. I'm
Okay.
going to still fail.
You're going to fail, but not critically. Lampwick, what was your call?
So I'm I think my attention is on Providence. I'm going to turn to Providence and I'm going to say, "What is wrong with you? These are our guests. What are you doing? Why are you turning on me?"
No, I'm not turning on you, Father. I'm making her safe.
Have you harmed her?
No.
I want to see. And I'm going to approach where Polly
You
Yes.
move towards Polly. Polly's laying face down in the dirt, more or less, like having fallen forward with this bone, and is like pulling themselves up. You can't hear anything
Yeah.
at all. You don't hear the
Crying.
conversations. You don't hear anything else. You see people moving around. You know the fires are flickering strange shadows across the walls around you. However, maybe that's an advantage, because you're the first one that notices the shadow work its way across the wall of the cave.
A shadow I recognize?
No. You go to Polly. Polly seems fine. You're up against the wall and these corpses, and you're looking down out at this. And DT, I think you're the first one to see this woman dressed in white gossamer robes. Beautiful. Almost breathtakingly perfect in every conceivable way, based on whatever you personally think beauty is. And that is defined by each of you. I'm not going to describe this woman, but I will for Lampwick. Because Lampwick, it's Isabel.
Mm-hmm.
And she's walking down the stepped rocks of this cave. And she's looking to you. Your flock is strong.
What are you doing here?
I've come to take you away.
To
It's time for you to serve your purpose.
And what is that?
To see the revelation come to light.
Who sent you to me?
He has many names. You knew him as Brother Hayworth.
They found you.
Dear, sweet boy. You think I'm her. I'm not.
Then what are you?
I'm the mother. Don't you remember? We left you here so that you could grow the flock, so that when the time came, you would join with all of us, so that we could bring a cleansing to this land of sin, and the valley would be purified.
Which sinners are we cleansing first?
They hide behind walls, thinking they're safe. They use their guns and their weapons to shield them from the truth. From the revelation that is unfolding before them. Are these your children?
These here.
The woman looks at you, DT. So soon, so young.
What do you want? You've taken everything. Why do you need more?
You've taken nothing and given everything. You bear the seed. In time, you will be powerful. I can feel it.
I don't want your power. I just want my sister back.
You may have her.
No. She's not the same when she's with you. Whatever power, it's not power, it's control.
Would you not control? Would you not use this power?
Not to take people away.
We need them. Don't hurt them.
And this one? What will you do with it?
I want to keep them. They have their purposes. I need them. Don't hurt them. They're useful. they'll get us in.
Rally your forces. Gather your children in flock. Righteous fire awaits those who stand against us. You must be prepared. The hand has called you home.
If this is my purpose, then so be it. This world has shown me nothing but cruelty. Except for you, Mother. I will do as you wish.
Good. We have matters to attend to, other flocks that must be awoken. When they gather, when the moon is full, you will see the blue star. When you see the blue star, you will know the time has come. And that is where we'll end our session tonight.